Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Learning Path. This is Dr. B. Meena, Head Department of Commerce from Petition College of Arts and Science, working as the Head Department of Commerce, Vice Principal, Shift 1. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to prepare a process cost accounts under vegetable refining process model problems. Let me check one problem. The following are the extract from costing books Vignesh Oil Manufacturing Company, in which three processes are used. We have crushing process, refining process, and finishing process. When we start off the crushing process, the coconut purchased 600 quintals worth rupees 60,000 were made use in the crushing process as a raw material, as an input. Okay? And other expenses as per the problem are labor, power, steam, sundry materials, factory expense. So these are all the expenses which usually we will debit in the process accounts, and which is given separately for what are the amounts for crushing process and refining process and finishing process. So these are the expenses separately given for crushing, refining and finishing process. Apart from this, what was the input given for the crushing process? Coconut purchase. I repeat, the input used in the crushing process, the very first process is coconut purchase 600 quintals worth rupees 60,000, right? So this will be the input in the crushing process to be posted on the debit side of the crushing process. And under this, we have one more information. Gas drums costing rupees 20,000. Gas is like a cap for the container. Okay. So this is the expenses where it will incur. We need to think of that. This expenses not mentioned specifically, either this expenses is for crushing or for refining or for finishing process. Okay. So we need to check whether this expenses is applicable for crushing, refining or finishing. So I can say this expense is applicable only for finishing process, because only at the time of finishing, so the oil will get ready, we need to have a container to fill the oil. Okay, to fill the container we need a container to fill the oil. So for that container we need a cap. That cap is called as gas. So this was probably will applicable in the finishing process. So apart from writing all other expenses, when I'm preparing finishing process account, I need to consider cost of gas is one of the expenses to be debited in the finishing process account. I think all of them understood. I repeat, the cost expenses which is applicable only at the stage of finishing process. It is not applicable for crushing or refining process. Okay, because cast means the cap for the container. So when the container will need it, when the oil is ready. Okay, and we have other information in this problem. That is, what is the output of each process? Each process is the process are in this problem are crushing, refining, and finishing. So under crushing process, what was the output given? 400. Under refining process, what was the output given? 300. Under finishing process, what was the output given? 280. So we can make use of this information and find out, is there any loss in weight during the process by comparing the input of the respective process and compare the output which is given the problem. I repeat, compare the input of the respective process with the respective output given as per this problem and find out, is there any loss in weight. Okay, that is the specialty of the process costing under oil refining process. And last two information, coconut sacks sold for 10,000. So whenever you are selling anything, you need to what is that? You need to get income. Okay, whenever you are selling anything, you will get an income, isn't it? So I said in the earlier classes, all expenses must be debited in the respective process account. In case income means we need to credit it. We need to look into that in which process we are getting this kind of income. So coconut sacks means you know very well. So where the bag we are using to bringing the coconut for the process of crushing. So that bag is called as sacks, coconut sacks. So that bag sold for 10,000. So this income probably in the crushing process. So I will credit this income in my crushing process by sale of coconut sacks. Amount is 10,000. And one more income is there. Copra residue 170 quintals sold for rupees 5,000. This is a residue we added during the crushing process. So we will sell these residue but during the crushing process and making income. So this income will probably will come in the credit side of the crushing process. So we are getting two kind of incomes as per this problem under crushing process. Both the incomes must be credited. Okay. And byproducts of refining process. We are getting some byproducts during the refining process. What do you mean by byproducts? When you are producing a main product, we will get an additional products. Okay, that is called as byproducts. That byproducts we can sell it off and then making income. So that byproducts we added during the refining process. So that in that process we need to credit this sale of byproducts 75 quintals. The income is 400 rupees. So we are going to prepare the relevant process accounts as per this problem. Let me check the solution. First, I put the heading crushing process account, and I have columns like that: particulars, tons, rate, amount for the debit side, the same columns for the credit side. Okay, and then on the debit side, I will debit all the expenses relevant to this process. Okay, so what are the expenses relevant to this process means? First, I made use of the raw material, coconut purchase 600 quintals worth rupees 60,000. So this input only I gave it in the crushing process. So that is one of the expenses along with other expenses which is mentioned in the problem: labor, power, steam, sundry materials, factory expense. These are the expenses I used to debit under respective process along with this coconut purchase. Let me check out. To coconut purchase, I posted 600. The rate of 100 means 60,000. I debit all other expenses, right? Then I'll move on to the credit side. By sale of coconut sack. What is the sale value? 10,000 given in the problem. By sale of copra residue sold. The copra residue sold is given both how many quintals sold as well as the sale value. Okay, so I mentioned what is the quantity as well as the amount for the sale of copra residue. And then the output is given for the crushing process. Look at the problem. The output is given: crude oil produced is the output in the crushing process. You must have an understanding, you must have a practical thinking where you will get crude oil in the crushing process, where you will get the refined oil in the refining process, and finished oil in the finished process. So their respective outputs were given. We can make use of this information to find out is there any loss in weight during each process, right? So by refining process account transfer, I written over here because this output, whatever output we are getting, this is the crude oil, right? The mention in the problem, crude oil, how many quintals they mentioned? 400 only. We knew the output in quantity only. That is given in the problem. So we can make use, and this crude oil will become an input for the refining process. That's why I mentioned by refining process account transfer. Anyway, this crude oil is going to transfer to the next process. The next process name is what it is: refining process. So I mentioned by refining process account, how many quintals? 400 quintals, right? So 400 quintals I written over there. Then I should have a small, that is short workings to find out is there any loss in weight. Now look at that. I close the debit side. I close the debit side, both tons column and amount column. Tons is 600. and then amount is 97,000, right? So I came to know I gave input in the crushing process as 600, right? 600 is the input I gave. Excuse me, 600. So, and then the sale of copra residue is 170. The sale of copra residue is 170. And then the output I got it in this problem, that is process is 400. So 400 plus 170. I repeat, 400 is the crude oil I produce in this process, and then I add copra residue which has sold, and that comes around 170 quintals. So 400 plus 170, so I will get 570. So out of 600 input, please focus your attention. Out of 600 input, I gave, that is out of 600 input I gave, I add an account. 400 is the crude oil and 170 is the residue, means what is the loss in weight? 30, the remaining balance. I repeat, 400 plus 170. 400 plus 170 came around 570. So 570 minus 600, what is the loss in weight? So loss in weight, I will not mention the rate and amount because we don't have the scrap value as per this problem. Okay. So this is the way how I completed the crushing process. Once again, I repeat, I debit the expenses along with the input given in the problem. The input for this first process is 600 quintals. The rate of that is they gave 60,000. 600 quintals, 60,000 means what is the rate? 100. And I debited all other expenses, and then I credited the incomes as per the problem given. And there are two types of income. One income we add only the amount. The another income we have both quantity as well as the amount, right? And then what is the output mentioned in this problem? The crude oil produced in the crushing process is given as 400 quintals. So crude oil is 400, residue 170. So 570 only is coming in our account out of 600 input. So what could be the loss in weight? 30. Okay. Since no scrap value is given, I mentioned hyphen mark in the rate column as well as the amount column. Then how to find out the rate per ton for this crude oil means 82. How I got this 82,000? How I got this 82,000 means I close the debit side amount. I close the debit side amount 97,000. So far I credited 15,000. So far I credited 15,000. I repeat, the debit total it comes around 97,000. So 97,000 minus what are the amounts so far I credited, get the summation. So 15,000. So 97,000 minus 15,000, what is the balancing figure? 82,000. So I came to know what is the value of the crude oil, that is 82,000 as per this problem. So how I got the rate per ton? 82,000 divided by 400. I'll come to know what is the rate per ton. I repeat, I close the debit side. Total, it came 97,000. 97,000 to be compared with the amount so far I credited. So far I credited is 10,000 plus 5,000, 15,000. So 97,000 minus 15,000, 82,000. So how to calculate the rate? 82,000 divided by 400, 205. So this is the way how I complete the crushing process. Next, we'll move on to the next process, refining process. Refining process, I have to, the first job for us is to transfer the previous process output as the input for this process. What is the previous process output? 400, 205, 82,000. So same thing I transferred here, and I debit the expenses, whatever is applicable, whatever amount is applicable for the refining process. So what are the amounts applicable? 15,000, 3,000, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. So all these amounts will come under refining process. Okay, I debited. And then in this process, we have some income, that is buy sale of byproducts, which is given in the problem. Byproducts of refining process, 75 quintals at the rate of, that is sold for rupees 400. Same thing only I mentioned, buy sale of byproducts 75, and then amount I posted as 400. Okay, and then we need to look into the problem. What is the output of refining process? What is the output of refining process? That is 300 quintals they gave. So that's what I mentioned, 300 here. So 300, and after posting this, I need to have some calculation to find out is there any lost page. How to find out? Just close your debit side. Debit side tons column came around 400 and amount column 1,08,000. I close the debit side. Now my work is to compare is there any balance the input I gave. So 400 tons is the input. Okay. And then sale of byproducts is coming 75. And what is the output for this process, refining process, given as per this problem? Now check out the output in this problem is, what is that? 300. The output in this problem is 300, right? So this 300, I need to bring it over in this process. Okay. Then 375. So 400 minus 375. What is the loss in weight? What is the loss in weight? 25. So how to find out the balancing figure? Here we have the debit side total is 1,08,000, and then credit side total is for credit side so far I credited is, what is that? 400. So I will get the balancing figure as 1,07,600. 1,07,600. So 1,07,600. How to calculate the rate per ton? So how to calculate the rate per ton means 1,07,600 divided by 300. 1,07,000. 1,07,600 divided by 300. What is my calculation? 358.666 I'm getting. So I'll make it as 359 as the rate per ton. So 359, I'll post it here. So I think all of them understood how I got this loss in weight. Just look at this calculation. 400 is my input, right? 400 is my input. So minus out of this input, what and all I added in my account. 300 is the output plus 75 is my sale of byproducts. So what is my loss in weight? So this is the way how you can calculate the things to find out the loss in weight. So I think understand the refining process. I will repeat. I transfer the output of crushing process as the input of refining process, right? And I debit the respective amounts of expenses in the refining process. Then I move on to the credit side. I credited the income which is given in the problem as sale of byproducts, right? So 75 quintals they gave and 400 is the amount. And then I posted the what is the output of this process, refining process, as per the problem, 300. Then once I finish posting this, I need to check whether there is any loss rate. How to find out? Close the debit side, both the tons and amount column. Tons, so I gave the input as 400, okay, but the output as mentioned as per this problem is 300, and sale of byproducts is 75, means what is the loss in weight? 25. So don't mention any rate or amount because no scrap value is given. Then I close the debit side with the amount of 1,08,000. So 1,08,000 minus I credited so far 400. So what is the balancing figure? 1,07,600. 1,07,600 divided by 300, you will get the rate per ton is 359. Then I'll close the credit side. Then we'll move on to the final process, that is finishing process. I told you, whatever input output I'm getting for the previous process, 300, 1,07,600, I will transfer to the next process as the input. As usual, I will debit all the expenses. Then I'll close the debit side, tons column and amount column. And then in this problem, in this process, we don't have any income. So straight away, we can find out any loss in weight. How to find out the loss in weight? 300 is the input I gave. 300 is the input I gave. So minus 280 is the output given as per the problem. Look at that problem. What is the output for the last process? 280, right? So the last process output is 280. That's what I mentioned over here, 280. So out of 300 input, I got the output as 280 means what is the loss in weight? 20. So can you able to understand? So this loss in weight is 20. So have an understanding what the loss in weight, that is 300 minus 280 is the thing we need to compare to find out the loss in weight as per this process. Then as usual way, we close the debit side amount 1,43,100. Since no amount is credited, this will be the amount for the value of the cost of the output of the last process. So the cost of the output for the last process is 1,43,100. So 1,43,100 divided by, okay, 1,43,100 divided by 280. I will calculate 1,43,100 divided by 280 will tells you what is the cost per ton, that is 511. So 511 I can post as a cost per ton as per this problem. Okay, so this is the way how can I prepare the process accounts when we have a normal loss in weight. Okay, so this is one of the problem model how to prepare the process account under oil refining process models. Thanks for watching my video, and click the I button to have more understanding about the concepts relating to process costing. I taught some other problem models. Please click the I button. You will come to an understanding, and then subscribe my channel. Click the bell button, and then we will post for in videos for margin costing as well as process costing very soon. Please click the bell button and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching my video.